I listen up, man, because I'm about to keep it 100 with y'all like I'm goddamn Benjamin Franklin. The cravings of your carnal mind will accumulate karmic debt. Yes, sir, let me say that again for the people in the back. Listen up. The cravings of your carnal mind, your lower senses, will accumulate karmic debts. Now, you might be wondering, okay, man, what the fuck is a carnal mind? What the hell are karmic debts? How are they associated? How are they correlated? Well, relax, my guy, because it's time for your boy to break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. Now, first things first, your carnal senses or your carnal nature is your animalistic nature. This is associated with your lower three worlds, your lower three planes of existence, and your lower three chakras, which are focused on the three S's, aka survival, sex, and status, something that you guys might have heard of me talk about so many times on this channel before. This is what the matrix, the Maya, the illusion, the material world wants you to be stuck in. Now, is survival, sex, and status bad? Absolutely not. Is survival, sex, and status evil? Absolutely not. But when they run the show, when they dictate all your decisions, you are living life as a mere animal. I got my dog right here. My dog, its highest potential in life are those three S's: to survive, have sex and reproduce, and get status within the animal kingdom, within the hierarchy of Doberman Huskies. That's the goal of the animal. And mankind is in between. Mankind is in between the animal kingdom and the gods, or the spiritual realms of reality. We have the free will to either follow our fate, which our fate is intertwined with our spiritual evolution, or we have the free will to go against our fate and just succumb to our senses. And this is why when your mind is stuck in its carnal cravings, you slowly but surely start to accumulate more karmic debt. And those karmic debts are attachments that act as anchors, that act as dead weight, that is pulling you away from your ascension beyond the limitations of the body, beyond the limitations of the mind, and further away from the glory of spiritual realization. That's what karmic debts are. Think about the word itself, debts. If you keep running up credit cards, you got to pay that shit back. And guess what? It stacks up over time, more and more and more and more and more. Now you're looking like, oh shit, man. All this interest is kicking my ass. I borrowed $5,000, now I got to pay $10,000 back. It doubled up by 2. And the more you accumulate these karmic debts, the more that they compound just like that. Think of it also with this analogy. You get 1 parking ticket, 2 parking tickets, 3 parking tickets, and you keep delaying paying them. So when you go to the DMV to get your registration for the year, you see, oh man, you gotta pay 5 G's to fucking drive your car because you've accumulated debt. And your spirit, your soul, accumulates debt just like that on a karmic level. And these carnal cravings just feed more and more into it. It's like taking a shovel and then taking one pot of land out, or 1 scoop of land out, 1 scoop of dirt out. Then the next time you do 2, the next time you do 3, the next time you do 4, now you are literally 10 feet underground. And that underground is a symbolic reference, a metaphor, an allegory to the depths of despair that most people, the majority, the masses of society, are doing to themselves by disconnecting their overall ability to get that source connection to the spirit. They're cutting off that Wi-Fi code. They're cutting off that phone line to the higher self. And guess what? It gets swapped with the phone line to their carnal senses, telling them to keep drinking alcohol, telling them to keep smoking weed, telling them to keep watching porn, telling them to keep chasing women, telling them to continue being a degenerate, because that's what the world is doing. That's what everybody else is saying to do. Like, I don't want to feel left out. That is the carnal mind. That is your limbic mind. the reptilian mind that's only focused on survival, sex, and status. You have the ability to transcend beyond that and see that there's another underlying nature to your own existence as well as this reality. You've heard me talk about Maya plenty of times. Maya is the Vedic term for the illusion. And I'm not saying this reality, this physical reality, is a complete illusion. The essence of this is something that can be extrapolated by science, modern science. The electromagnetic spectrum of light. Human senses, the human eyesight can only perceive 2% of that. Let that sink in. 2% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum of light is able to be perceived by your eyes. So there's a whole 98% that isn't detected by your physical senses, but as you progress on the spiritual path will be registered by your spiritual senses, your sixth sense, your metaphysical capabilities. Yet that gets cut off the more you just overall immerse yourself within these carnal cravings. And that Maya, that projection, just makes it more cemented in your psyche to thinking that this is all life is about. Survival, sex, and status. This is what society's telling me. This is what my friends are doing. This is what my family is doing. And are they evil? Are they bad? Absolutely not. But you were here, you were brought here, incarnated here on this realm, with this specific body, with this specific psyche that you were gifted, with certain gifts and talents and blessings from God, directly from God, to achieve a higher purpose, to aspire for higher ideals, to follow your spiritual duty, aka your Dharma. Your Dharma is your duty. Your Dharma is what you were really brought here to do. Yet that is clouded and that is overall forgotten by the majority and the masses of society due to the fact that this carnal mind has completely cut off that connection to the source that's within them that has all the answers on what the Dharma is. Imagine you're taking a test and you got a cheat sheet to get a straight A, 100%, yet you don't use it. You have a cheat sheet for a life of true fulfillment already within you, yet you're not using it. That's your Dharma. That's what you're really brought here to do. And there's a quote from the Bhagavad Gita that talks about how it is better to follow your Dharma and fail. Follow your Dharma imperfectly than it is to follow somebody else's perfectly to the T. It's better to find your own spiritual purpose, your duty, and fucking fail at it than to follow what the masses of society are telling you to do. Because that is just going to just overall flow you into a life of mediocrity, a life of despair, and a life of unfulfillment, which, what do you know? When you're ready to go 6 feet under, you got all these regrets, you got all these attachments, you got all these psychological turmoil going on within your mind, which causes the consciousness to come back within the cycle of samsara once again, because you have not actually dissolved the karmas that are blocking you from actually discovering your Dharma. And all the stuff that we talk about here on this channel, on the main channel, on the private Patreon community, shout out to the fucking private Patreon community, man. Look, if you actually are interested on this path of esoteric self-mastery, and you have not joined up into the private Patreon community yet, you are doing yourself, yes, yourself, motherfucker, a huge disfavor. Not me, yourself, because within there, you get access to exclusive content that goes so much more in depth and so much more in detail to all these topics and subjects that are covering the esoteric science of self-mastery. And along with that, you'll actually be able to get access to our other content, whether that be our full guides, in-depth occult lectures, and most importantly, if you tap into the Philosopher's Circle, aka the highest membership tier group within the private Patreon community, you'll get access to our private group chat, but most importantly, our mastermind live calls this year. We're doing bi-weekly, 2 times each and every single month, bi-weekly live calls where you hop on a call with me, as well as a community of like-minded men who are also on this path towards self-mastery in order to attain self-realization and realize what their Dharma is, realize what their spiritual duty is, not being a slave to the compulsive carnal cravings that are blocking them from actually attaining that true divine purpose that they were always brought here to accomplish. Matter of fact, there's a whole video on the private Patreon community talking about dissolving your karmas in order to discover your Dharma. Going much more in depth than I can actually do off the dome over here, because, you know, on the second channel, we are here in the field, in the flesh, no notes, off the rip. We're just spitting game for your motherfucking brain, but within there, we got all the ancient texts to kind of show and connotate with and correlate with when it comes to all these topics. So if you enjoyed that type of stuff, man, check out the links posted in the pinned comment of this video, because within there, you get all the other links to our other services, whether that be application forms for my personalized coaching program, links to book one-on-one consultation calls, free community Discord server, weekly newsletters, all that good stuff posted in the pinned comment of this video. But like I was saying, all the stuff that we talk about here on this channel, on the main channel, on the private Patreon community, with the people I work with one-on-one, on the consultation calls, are all tools, tips, and techniques for you to dissolve that karma, to dissolve those karmic debts in order to help you discover your Dharma. I don't know your Dharma. Your mom don't know your Dharma. Your dad don't know your Dharma. Your brother don't know your Dharma. Nobody in this world knows your Dharma but you. However, there are obstacles in the way to actually discovering that. And those are the karmic debts that are accumulated by constantly feeding into your carnal nature, by constantly feeding into these cravings. Why do you think the world, the matrix, and all that stuff promotes this? Because you are dumbing your own divine spark. You are dampening your divine capabilities to actually discover that Dharma and become the divine embodiment of the masculine man you were always meant to be. Why do you think pornography is free? Why do you think junk food is cheaper than healthy food? Why do you think social media isn't promoting this type of content in the mainstream? It's all fucking brain rot shit. Because they want to dumb you down. They want to make you continue to consume these carnal cravings. So you accumulate more karmic debt, and build up more attachments and build up more dead weight that further puts you from 10 feet under to 20 feet under to 30 feet under from actually ever realizing what your Dharma is. That's what they're trying to do. And that's something you got to wake up from. Because the people that are watching this channel specifically, the Watu Fulati, the second channel, you guys have been blessed by God, by the universe, by maybe past lives, whoever knows, to be able to grasp these types of concepts, to be able to grasp these types of topics. You have the capability to watch a video and listen to a video for this fucking long, with no cuts, no edits. And we're not talking about getting women. We're not talking about just grabbing money. We're not talking about these lower level pursuits. We're talking about higher aspirations of the spirit. A lot of people will not be able to actually let this stuff marinate within their mind. So you cannot waste this. You cannot waste this opportunity on just indulging in these lower level desires. You've been gifted this stuff, this ability, these blessings to be able to actually grasp and correlate to these teachings. You have to use that to your advantage now. You cannot waste this on fucking nonsense, bro. Stop accumulating karmic debt. Stop making more addictions. Stop making more attachments to your lower senses. Stop being a slave, a prisoner to your animalistic nature. Because if you continue to do that, you will forget more and more who you really are and what you were really brought here to do on a deeper level. And you're always going to be chasing from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, within this hamster wheel, this cycle of consumerism and carnality, which feeds into another rebirth along this cycle of samsara. God damn, man. God fucking damn. If you know, you know. The cycle of samsara is fed by these karmic debts. It is the fuel, it is the oil that keeps this shit churning. That your soul goes from one body to another body, to another body, to another body, never actually liberating back to the primordial source, the divine essence, the divine spark it was originally always meant to be. Your Dharma is your one-way ticket out this bitch. But a lot of people, again, will not realize that, and they'll continually start to fall into the cravings of their carnal mind, and it continually keep on accumulating karmic debt. And this is something that ties directly into the whole idea of generational curses. This is the esoteric science of karmic debts that are passed on from lineage to lineage. This is blood karma. Your parents, their parents, the parents of your parents, we're all dealing with some type of karma. And if they don't resolve it, guess what? They pass it on to the next offspring, the next generation. And funny enough, you're dealing with the karmic debts of your dad, of your granddad, of your great-granddad, all those motherfuckers. You're dealing with that. And if you do not dissolve them, find your Dharma, you're gonna give it to your kids. You're gonna fuck their shit up. But you're listening to this right now. And like I said, you have been gifted with the ability to actually grasp these types of concepts. Be the one that breaks this chain from lineage to lineage to lineage of your family, of your DNA, of your blood, of your bloodline, by actually dissolving these karmas. If your family has this lineage of alcohol addiction, sex addiction, pornography addiction, whatever it is, money problems, whatever it is, that is a karmic chain that is being passed on from one person to another person to another person, like we fucking smoking a blunt. Puff, puff, and pass. You're puffing it a couple times, getting those carnal cravings, satisfying them, but they're passing it to somebody else. They got to deal with it. Same thing comes with delayed gratification and instant gratification. That pain that you got to kind of skip by drinking some alcohol because you don't want to face your problems, doing some coping mechanisms by watching porn or whatever it is, your future self has to deal with it. And on a deeper level, those karmic debts are passed on to the future offspring. Be the one in your family bloodline to break free from these generational curses, to break free from this esoteric science of karmic debts. Dissolve that karma to find your Dharma. Imagine like this, you're driving and it is fucking pouring rain. Actually, matter of fact, it is snowing. And if you've ever been in a place where you're driving a car where it's super cold, there's fucking frost on your windshield. You can't drive like that. But if you don't got no defroster, what do you got to do? Pull out your car. You're going to have to find somebody in front of you and follow that car. And follow their lights, because the lights will actually be seen through the windshield barely. It's clouded, but you'll barely see it. You'll see the traffic signals barely. So you just follow them. But are you going the place that you wanted to go? No, you're just following the crowds, the masses. That's what's happening to your spirit. But the defroster, that frost is your karmas. The defroster is dissolving those karmas. And that's what clears up the windshield for you to drive your car, your physical body, with the mind, which is the steering wheel, and the spirit, which is the driver. You are now able to find the end destination, which is self-realization, understanding who and what you are through your dharmic path. You're not following someone in front of you and just randomly ending up at fucking KFC. I didn't have a plan to go to KFC. I just followed this guy in front of me. I didn't have a plan to go work this job. I just did it because society's telling me to do it. I don't really fucking like watching porn. I don't really like just chasing women all the time. My friends are all doing it. And guess what? It just gives you those quick dopamine hits. So it's enough to keep you overall docile. Oh man, I really don't like this life I'm living, but I have enough alcohol to just kind of forget about it. I have access to internet to go watch some porn, to forget about it. I have the ability to go chase women, just forget about it. But when it fucking hits you like a truck, this is when midlife crises happen, because you've accumulated so much fucking karmic debt and you're going so far off track from your dharmic path. This is something that we talked about previously on this video, how depression and anxiety are signs and signals from the higher self telling you you're not on the right path, trying to wake you up, telling you, hey man, take that fucking U-turn. You're not going towards your Dharma. You're going towards a path that is just gonna make you more and more of a slave to your senses, not actually connecting to the spirit. Wake up. We're gonna keep making this internal psychological turmoil within your brain until you realize it. But again, what do people do? Escape, escape, escape. Drown out the noise, drown out the noise, drown out the noise. Carnal cravings, carnal cravings, carnal cravings. And then more debt, more debt, more debt. Instead of it being a 10 feet hole that you got to dig yourself out of, it's a fucking 30 feet hole. You can still get out, but it's going to take a lot more time. It's going to take a lot more energy. It's going to take a lot more effort. This is why you must start to realize that karmic debts will be either your way to dissolve them and actually find your Dharma, or it's going to be the sole purpose for your spirit to never be fulfilled in life. To always search externally for sources of validation, for sources of pleasure, rather than actually following your purpose and being fulfilled and actually having this internal state of spiritual ecstasy, of joy. None of these carnal cravings can ever equate to the state of spiritual ecstasy that you'll receive by following your dharmic path. Dopamine and Dharma do not correlate. Cheap spikes of dopamine go like this. Dharma is a continual expression towards enlightenment, towards your overall elevation of the mind, body, and soul. You have the free will to choose, bro. Most people are unknowingly, unconsciously following the animalistic path because, again, the projector screen, Maya, the illusion that's being put out in front of you, is telling you that this is the only path. All life is just survival, sex, and status. Get a job, try to have kids, and then look for some status. Get these cars, get these clothes. That's all life is. Don't look deeper. You don't want to know what the Dharma is? This guy is crazy, bro. You don't want to listen to him. Look at him. Don't listen to this fucking dipshit. He's schizophrenic, all that shit, you know what I mean? That's what the mind, the matrix is trying to tell these true seekers like yourself. They're trying to trick them. If you ever watch the NBA, this came up on my mind, but this is random. If you ever grew up watching the NBA, Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley had a beef going on. And there's this quote from Russell Westbrook talking about Patrick Beverley saying, man, he tricked y'all. He don't play any defense. Man, the Matrix tricked y'all. This ain't real pleasure. They just tricked y'all. They tricked y'all like a motherfucking fool. What are you going to do about it, though? Because another analogy that you can see this with is the allegory of the cave. This whole concept where there's prisoners in a cave facing a wall. There's a fire crackling behind them, and there's people kind of using the fire to make a shadow art, shadow imagery on the wall. And all these prisoners see, know, and have been kind of consuming this entire time was those shadows. They think that is real life. They think that is real life, and this is what people on the massive society think is real life: survival, sex, and status. They are stuck within those states of consciousness, those chakras, because the matrix, the Maya, has put a lid on it. You can break through that lid, but it's first of all the ability to actually perceive that there is something on that deeper essence. And for some people, it might be through a meditative experience. Some people, like myself, it was through a psychedelic experience. For some people, it might be a traumatic experience that breaks the barrier, breaks the lid open, breaks the snow globe open. And what I like to kind of think about is almost think about like you're at a movie, there's that weird projector screen, and there's a movie playing from the back. That's Maya playing on the screen. But when you go up to the screen and you rip that shit open, that's reality. That's what was going on. So when these prisoners in the allegory of the cave came up to the surface and actually got out of the cave, and they're blinded by the light, blinded by the sun, they realized, fuck, bro. I thought this was real life this entire time. Those chains that they had, making them prisoners, was karmic debts. Are you picking up what the fuck I'm putting down? Those chains, those shackles, holding them back from actually ever escaping that cave, was their karmic debts, which are byproducts of your carnal cravings. Let that sink in. Let that marinate in your mind, boy. The ability to break free from those chains is the ability to dissolve your karmas. And guess what? When you break free from those chains, you can finally walk yourself up out of that cave. And when you walk yourself up out of that cave and you get blinded by the illuminating light of the sun, which is your spirit, which is your connection to your higher essence, you realize who and what you are on a deeper level. And most importantly, you actually discover your Dharma. You actually go to the world and understand what it is that you were brought here to do. And again, the stuff we talk about on this channel, on the main channel, on the private Patreon community with the people I work with one-on-one, is not a one-size-fits-all solution. These are all tools, tips, techniques, and overall systems to help you dissolve those karmas, but it is your job to figure out what works for you, and it is your job to actually find that Dharma. And at that point, it's just go time. It's go time. It's like peeling back an onion from layer to layer to layer to layer to layer till you get to the core. That is your Dharma. Once you get to the core, there is nothing that can make you fall off course. Because you know this is the type of knowledge, a source of wisdom, aka gnosis, that only comes from within, because it is an emanation, a channeled message from your higher self, from God, from the universe, whatever you want to call it. This is not something that can be makeshifted or manufactured by man. You can listen to all these videos right here on the private Patreon community, on the main channel, all that stuff. You can read all these books. You can listen to all these podcasts. But nobody is going to be able to formulate the philosophy of your Dharma other than yourself. It's already etched in your heart. It's etched in stone. You just got to uncover it. And the way you uncover is by dissolving those karmic debts, by giving up the attachments, by giving up the illusions, by actually going beyond and transcending your carnal mind. It ain't easy, it ain't simple, it ain't gonna happen overnight. But if you, who are a true seeker, wants to actually attain and experience their highest potential on the mental, physical, and spiritual planes of reality, break free from generational curses, find their Dharma, live a life of true fulfillment, liberate their soul for when it's time to go, no longer stuck on another cycle of samsara, then it's time to stop fucking around. It's time to stop fucking around. I'm not trying to make it seem like, oh man, you got to be on this dopamine detox, self-improvement, blah, blah, blah. No, this is self-mastery. The more you continually give up your power to the external world, the less power you have to uncover on the internal world your Dharma. Every time you say yes to something, you're simultaneously saying no to something. Every time you say no to something, you are simultaneously saying yes to something. So I'm not saying, hey man, just say no to the world, renounce everything. When in reality, all these monks, these mystics, these sages, these sadhus, people on the external world, on the master side, were like, oh man, dude, they fucking hate their lives. They're renouncing everything. Take that symbolic reference of that they are not saying no to life. They're saying no to the external bullshit that they realize is temporary, that they realize are illusions, and they are saying yes to Dharma. They are saying yes to their spiritual purpose. They are saying yes to their higher duties. So when you reject the carnal mind, you are actually accepting your spiritual faculties. It works inversely. The more karmic debts you have, the less connection to that spirit you have. The less karmic debts you have, the more connection to the spirit you have. And the more connection to the spirit you have, the more clarity you have on understanding your Dharma. It's like oil and water, they don't mix. Karmas and Dharmas don't mix. Which one do you want? I'm not here to tell you, like a salesman, you want Dharma and not karma. That's on you. That is your path. But I'm telling you right now, you've been tricked. Like that quote that I just brought up. You've been tricked by Patrick Beverly. You've been tricked by the Maya, the Matrix, the illusion. That this is all life is all about. Because your mind has been stuck under a rock where it just constricts it and suffocates it to the point where it only thinks about survival, sex, and status. Have you ever done any martial arts? Like grappling and shit like that? There's something called a neck crank. This is chokehold. This is the matrix. And the person is choking is your spirit. And the way it chokes it is by those karmic debts. By giving you these carnal cravings, like a little fucking rat trap, and then pop, your spirit gets caught in that, unable to be free, because the confines of the body have become slaves to the sensory world. So that neck crank, when you put someone in a neck crank and you continually just fucking keep cranking, eventually they go what? Unconscious. People are unconsciously walking around life with no spirit, with no connection to their divine essence, because the matrix, the mind illusion, has completely cranked that connection to it and made them go to sleep. They're sleepwalking through life. They're sheepwalking through life. Just following whatever the fuck everybody else is telling them to do. They are literally suffocated, spiritually speaking. And what are they fed instead? Sensory pleasures, sensory pleasures, sensory pleasures, sensory pleasures, to escape from that. To delude them from never realizing that they are suffocating spiritually. That's why it's so intense when you have psychedelic experiences, mystical experiences, divine experiences, traumatic experiences, because it shatters that lid. It fucking takes that dude's arm that's putting you in neck crank and just literally snapping it in half. You go Super Saiyan mode and just like a fucking twig. Allowing you to breathe finally. Allowing you to fucking finally understand what it is that you're brought here to do. AKA your Dharma. So stop getting neck cranked by society, by the matrix, by the Maya, by the illusion. Learn some fucking spiritual Aikido, spiritual jujitsu, spiritual wrestling, whatever it is. And flip that motherfucker on his back. Stop tapping out yourself. Let your nuts hang. Build up that spiritual willpower, that strength to say no, but also simultaneously say yes to your higher aspirations. Say no to the lower senses. Say no to the animalistic nature. Not because it's evil, not because it's bad, because you know that you want to be the one in charge. The spirit. You want the body and mind to be subordinate to the spirit, not the senses calling the shots, because the senses are manipulated by the matrix, by the Maya, by the material world. Your senses aren't bad. You're not evil. But when they're the ones in charge, with the analogy I just brought up, the body is the vehicle, the mind is the steering wheel, the spirit and the soul should be the driver. When the senses take over, it's actually the spirit's putting to the trunk. It's got duct tape on its mouth, and it's put up in ropes, tied, chained down. And the programming of the matrix, the Maya, the illusion, is the one driving. And it's driving you not to your end destination that you want to go to. It's driving you to the end destination of a life of despair, spiritually speaking. You need to consciously rip off that duct tape on your mouth and also break free from those shackles, like we just said before, which are those karmic debts. You break free from them, you rip off the duct tape, you get up out of the trunk, and you kick the programming of the Maya, the matrix, out of the car on some GTA shit and get back in the driver's seat. You turn on the GPS system, which is your connection to God, the higher source, that is going to pull you towards the path of glory, and then you follow that dharmic path. And funny enough, when you reach your end destination of self-realization, you'll realize this entire time. What I was saying is it's not from me. Nothing is new under the sun. This is the ancient wisdom of the past that I'm trying to revive for the modern day man within a practical essence. You realize that what was said right here was the cold hard facts. Because you already know how we do it. We out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping y'all that game so you guys can make these gains, and I'm out here. Peace.